My political friends of the interwebs. I got a few. I got a few messages from people. All right. Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. Regarding my yellow journalism video, if you've not seen it, go check it out. I had some interesting comments, and there's one in particular that I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit. It is from the impeccable Andrew Marcel. Very respectful comment that he made. Basically, I'm going to read his comment, and then we're going to discuss it a little bit. It says, "Sir, this is the price we must pay for liberty. Like gun control advocates who nibble away at our rights, we cannot suppress speech, no matter how much they lie." Okay, I'm not going to read the rest. You guys can read, I'll read the whole thing. Okay, we can boycott the people who pay for the talking head shows. It's all about money. They push our buttons and we react. They get ratings, high prices for advertisements. Let the advertisers know there is a financial price to pay for an editorial position. If we speak money, they will listen. Jesse Jackson made his career this way. Okay, listen, and I'm not picking on you, Andrew, because I completely respect your opinion here, but I thought this would be an interesting a segue into this. Listen, as far as First Amendment freedom of speech goes, okay, I think it's extremely important for us to call bullshit when it's bullshit. It's extremely important for us because, in a sense, that protects freedom of speech. Okay, now, let me get to where I'm going with that. Okay. If we just let them spew lies and go, well, it's their First Amendment right to spew lies, and if we don't say anything about that, then they've at that point twisted the First Amendment and used the First Amendment to suppress all of our rights. Okay, so you have to call bullshit, and I think it's important for all of us to call bullshit on ABC in this situation, where Brian Ross, and excuse me on my yellow journalism piece, I did I called him by a Fox News contributor's name, and I did not mean to do that. Brian Ross, along with his cohort George Stephanopoulos, basically spewing disinformation for a purpose. It's extremely important for us to call bullshit on that. Now, I am not trying to deny them the right to speech. I am not trying to deny them. And here's the thing about free speech. It's free. You can say what you want. But there is and should always be consequences for speech. You know, you're entitled to yell whatever you want to yell. But if somebody puts you on your ass over it, they put you on your ass over it. You know, if Brian Ross is abusing his First Amendment right to try to subvert my Second Amendment rights, and he loses his job because of that free speech of his, then that's the way it should be, and that's the way it's meant to be. I think too many people think we just got to turn a blind eye to what people say, you know, and I think that's the most dangerous thing you can do for rights, in my opinion. Now, when you talk about, let me see where you put it, to boycotting the advertisers, let me tell you something. You're spot on, because that is how the left got rid of Glenn Beck. When I say got rid of Glenn Beck, they got rid of him at the 5 o'clock time. So, well, they got rid of him in general on Fox News TV. They went after his advertisers. They choked off the revenue stream, and you know, listen, the news business is a business, and it's like any other business. Without revenue streams, you're screwed. You know, you have to be able to pay your bills. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, we don't live in a communist country where the state pays for the media. The media in this country have to be able to keep their head above water, and they do it in a capitalistic way. You know, and which I prefer, you know, but you're right. You can boycott whatever advertisers are advertising on ABC, CBS, NBC, and we ought to do that. I mean, in all honesty, the left did show us how, and listen, they tried like hell to do it with Rush Limbaugh. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, as far as I'm concerned, Rush is just so huge in talk radio, and he's so effective. I mean, there are people who buy products just because he mentions those products, and that's a very powerful thing in a capitalistic society. You know, so you know they did try to pull the same bullshit. So here's the thing: if you want to start a boycott of ABC, find out who their biggest advertisers are. I'm with you. Let me know when we can get that thing rolling, because I'm down with that. You know, that's the ultimate in freedom of speech. You know, but I do take a little bit of exception when you say they get high ratings and high prices for advertisements. The fact of the matter is, and this is the most bizarre thing, and it can only be because they're ideologues. The liberal media. And I mean all of them. The liberal media don't make the kind of money that, say, Fox does. They don't demand that kind of money because their ratings are horrid. They have horrible ratings. You know, and the crazy thing is they don't care. They really don't. You know, they're going to drive that business right into the ground. I have no clue how MSNBC is still on the air. CNN. You know, most people don't realize this, but you take CNN's prime time, okay? Philip DeFranco on YouTube demands a bigger primetime audience than anybody on MSNBC. How unbelievable is that? A YouTuber. And by the way, not just Philip DeFranco, he's just one example. A lot of YouTubers demand a bigger audience. Then we're talking about CNN. I mean, they started the whole 24-hour news gig. And there are YouTubers that pound them in the ratings. You know, in fact, I think it would be very, very interesting if Nielsen or any other ratings agency would actually start paralleling, you know, what certain YouTubers can do versus what kind of audience that they demand. FPS Russia has, what's he got, 2 million subscribers, you know? You'd be really surprised that a lot of CNN's big stars, well, I don't know how big of a star they are, but they're notable people, don't demand an audience of 2 million people. You know, I mean, it's really quite amazing that these outfits are still in business. You know, it's crazy to me because they don't demand big money for their advertising. See, here's the thing people don't realize about advertising. Advertising is like there's a scale, and so for example, if you have a certain share of a demographic, then depending on how big that share is, will depend on how much money per advertising slot. So let's just say 30-second slot that you can demand. You know, Fox can demand a lot more for their advertising during the Bill O'Reilly show than MSNBC can demand for Ed Schultz, because Bill O'Reilly crushes Ed Schultz in the ratings. I mean, crushes him. You know, and if you're an advertiser, it's all about reaching as many people as possible because you're wanting to sell your product or brand your product, or there's a lot of different reasons why you run ads. You know, it's not necessarily always selling. Sometimes it's just about branding, you know, getting your name out there. So, you know, so Bill O'Reilly can charge, Fox News, I should say, News Corp can charge a whole hell of a lot more for that 30-second ad than anybody else in the news game, you know, during prime time. So, you know, no, they don't get huge ratings, no matter all the stuff that they do, you know, all the sensational headlines and all this stuff that they do, doesn't work as far as the ratings go. All it does do is work as far as chipping away at our Second Amendment rights, which is, to be honest with you, their end game. That's what that's the whole agenda. The whole agenda. That's why they're calling things 40-round clips. And we all know that, first of all, there's no 40-round Glock clip. There's a 30-round Glock magazine, you know, but there's no 40-round clip. But it doesn't matter to them because they're trying to sensationalize things, and so the facts don't matter to them. It's how they say it and what they're trying to accomplish with what they say. You know, when they start talking about assault weapons and things like that, things that we know better, and when I say we, I mean people that are in the firearms community or people who are shooters, and we know what they're saying is absolute bunk. You know, but we also understand, most of us understand why they're saying that. So, but anyway, to get back to what you were originally saying, Andrew, and I appreciate the comment. No, this is not the price we must pay. We must, and we have an obligation, if we want to protect the First Amendment, to actually scream as loud as we can, bullshit. We need to call bullshit. You know, what Brian Ross did was bullshit. What George Stephanopoulos did was bullshit, and we need to call it. We cannot sit back and say, well, that's the price we pay for freedom of speech, even though we know, they're lying. We can't really say anything because it's their right to lie. No, it is not their right to lie. We must demand the truth. We must demand the facts, and if they lay the facts out, and the facts are damaging to the Second Amendment, then that's what they are. They're the facts, and I can live with that. But when they lay out lies and they lay out absolute bullshit, that's when I got to draw the line and say no. No. So anyway, Andrew, I don't know if we will agree on this or not, but I appreciate your comment, and keep up the good work, my friend, and everybody else. See ya!